Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Oh my gosh, guys. Hello and greetings and welcome to another Minecraft video. Hope you guys are all doing great, seriously living life to the fullest. And today, I figured why not share 5 things you might not know about stealth. 5 things you might not know about me. I don't recall ever really talking about some of these things. For the most part, some of you guys might be really old subscribers, and I might have mentioned this maybe once, but I really doubt I've mentioned all of these things, and I figured, especially because we got a lot of new ninjas, we got a lot of new assassins subscribed to the channel, why not share some things about myself? And if you guys want to do the same by leaving 5 facts, 5 things that people don't know about you in the comment section, I'd love to read through it, see what you guys have to say as well, and of course I'll be liking and favoriting some of the best comments. So be sure to hashtag Stealth Army, guys, and please leave a like on today's video if you do enjoy it. It'd just be a huge help and it'd be greatly appreciated as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and kick it off with number 5 on my list, which is my first job ever. And I got my first job ever when I was 13 years old. Now, of course, you know, I was still going to school. I was, I think I was in like 6th grade or 7th grade. I think 7th grade. And, you know, I'd work like 2 hours, 3 hours during the weekend. And my brother got me this job and I was a model. So I would go to, it was called Abercrombie and Fitch, their headquarters, and I would like try out different clothes and model them, make sure they fit, and you know, they would base a lot of their clothes on my body style, so I was technically a fit model. So it actually got me a lot of money, and I was making about like $75 an hour. And I was 13 years old, and they would also give me some gift cards, so I was doing pretty well for just being in middle school. So that was pretty fun at the time. Unfortunately, we eventually moved, so I lost a gig then. But let's move on to number 4, which is I've played multiple instruments. When I say multiple, at least 6 or 7 instruments. And I remember the first instrument I ever picked up was the piano, and this was around when I was 6 or 7 years old, and at the time I really wasn't a huge fan of the piano. Now I really love the instrument, but back then, like, my parents were forcing me to pick it up and play it, and I would take lessons every single day, and I didn't like it. Usually when someone forces you to do something, you're just not going to enjoy it as much. So I eventually quit the piano, and I picked up another instrument I didn't really enjoy, which was the viola. And I played the viola for quite some time, but I really wanted to play the cello. And my parents were like, nah, you're too small and it's too expensive and you're just going to pick up the viola and you're going to like it. And I was like, nah, not so much. So I eventually dropped the viola as well. And then about a year later, I picked up my next instrument, which ended up being one of my favorite instruments of all time. And that was the saxophone, the alto saxophone. I got started with that, and I played the saxophone for about 7.5 to 8 years. So yeah, I played the saxophone, I played the alto, I played the baritone, as well as the tenor. So I was in love with the saxophone. Now, before I actually picked up the saxophone, I was in choir for 1.5 to 2 years, and I was pretty decent. I don't want to say I was like the best singer or like I was amazing, but you know, we did win state. You know, my choir, we went to state, we won state, so I would say that I was pretty decent. My choir was decent. We had just a great team, and I did enjoy singing, but I always just preferred to have an instrument, something in my hands. I really enjoy using my hands. I think you guys will start to notice that as I like talk about more things that I enjoy doing. But yes, I love instruments, and once I started high school around 14 years old, I started to play the guitar as well as the saxophone, and then I realized the guitar was that instrument. Like, my dad plays the guitar. He taught me most of what I know about the guitar. I took lessons, and I sort of slowly stopped playing the saxophone over time, and the guitar became like my main instrument, and I still play it, just not as much as I used to play because I'm a gamer and gaming is life. So I would like to eventually pick back up some of the instruments that I used to play all the time. Now, moving on to number 3 on my list, I have about 8 different YouTube channels. Now, some of you guys are gonna be like, Stealth, what do you mean 8 different YouTube channels? I wanna go check out these channels right now. Now, the thing is, I used to like make channels, and this was like before I really got into making videos, but I'd make these YouTube channels and I would eventually forget my password and people would subscribe to me. Don't ask me why they would subscribe to me. But I have YouTube channels out there with hundreds of subscribers, and for whatever reason, I just don't remember the password. So I would always make another channel, and the same thing would happen and rinse and repeat. I'm just horrible with passwords. I just want you guys all to know right now, I'm the worst when it comes to passwords. So I have about 6 channels that are not really dead channels. I mean, they have subscribers, but I just don't know the password to those channels. And they're just inactive at this point. I don't know if I'll ever get those channels back, but I do have like 2 channels right now, my main channel and my second channel, that I still have the passwords. And another fun fact, some of the first videos I uploaded on YouTube were dance videos. I remember that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I am talking about this. I used to make dance videos and I'd upload them. Okay, so first of all, I was a kid and everybody thinks they're good at dancing when they're kids and stuff. But nobody's ever gonna find those videos because I don't even know where they're at on YouTube. But I just felt like sharing that with you guys. But let's move on to, I believe, number 2, which is I want to be a voice actor, and I've always wanted to be a voice actor. But I feel like as I get older and as I start to put more of my time into YouTube, it's something that I eventually do want to pursue. Maybe in my late 30s or late 40s. I'm not entirely sure when. Maybe when I have a family and when I'm settled down, or when YouTube is less of a priority. It's something I'm not really trying to grind out as much. I do want to be a voice actor for video games, for animes and cartoons, and maybe even possibly movies. I feel like I have the voice where I can sort of change my tone, and I feel like I can play around my voice pretty easily. I know I'd probably need a coach or something, or some practice, or a teacher, but I want to be a voice actor, guys. Like, I desperately want to do that eventually. But yeah, something I don't really talk about, but you guys are the crew, y'all are the squad and the family, so I figured why not share that with you all, and maybe some of you out there want to be voice actors as well. Now, moving on to number 1, which this is something I don't recall ever sharing with most of you, and that is I've actually saved a couple people from dying. And I used to be a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard for pretty much most of my teenage years, and you know, I'd save some people here and there from drowning, some kids, some adults. But I also did save someone from choking on food, and that ended up being my boss at work, and that was about 2.5 years ago, and this was on the 4th of July. I won't forget it. This was actually on the 4th of July, and I was working at the time on the 4th of July, and we were having this like barbecue cookout thing. Everybody was there, and we were all in the lunchroom, and you know, everybody was just having a good time eating. And then the next thing you know, I see my boss, and she is just like a dark purple color, and I automatically knew what I was seeing, and more than likely it was because I've gone through the training. You know, I've been around people that were like either suffocating or just, you know, hypothermia, whatever. You know, I just knew the coloration of her skin. That was not healthy. That was not a good look. And then I just remember her bringing her hands up to like her throat area, making this gesture that she was definitely struggling. And then I saw like everybody else in the room, which there was probably about 20 people, and they were all a lot older than me, and they sort of backed away. They knew sort of what was going on as well, and I don't know, for whatever reason, the people in that room, which they were all coworkers, they were people I knew personally, not like we weren't friends or anything, but they knew what was going on, and they didn't do anything. They were just sort of watching her struggle. So I went around the table, I wrapped my arms around her, and I made the fist. I applied a ton of pressure right below the sternum, where, you know, the soft spot where your ribs are, just underneath that area where you can clearly get, you know, your fist in there and apply pressure. and hopefully whatever's caught in her throat or the person's throat will eventually just go out or just eject out. And I believe I did it about 3 or 4 times, and eventually it worked. It did come out, and I was so happy, and I was nervous. I was just as nervous as everybody else was in that room, but I wasn't just gonna sit there and let her die or let her choke. I mean, I was so scared and so worried, but I just remember seeing everybody stand there and act like they didn't see what was going on. Or maybe they were just sort of shocked for a couple seconds, but it only takes a couple seconds for someone to either pass out or to die, and I wasn't gonna let that happen. So I think it's always good to be prepared for those type of situations, and you don't have to be a lifeguard, you don't have to be, you know, a paramedic or anything like that. You don't even have to be that knowledgeable in, you know, the human anatomy, but I do think it's always good to be prepared and to have the courage to do something, right? So I've been blabbering on for a little while, guys. I want to know more about you, so make sure you share some interesting facts, some things you don't think other people know about you down below in the comment section. Guys, have a great Christmas, happy holidays, and happy New Year's to all of you. Make sure you have notifications on so you don't miss any of my content. I will have more videos up soon, and I'll catch you guys all later. So take care. Peace.
Get ready for the next battle.